Have you ever wondered what happens to the hair that is left on the ground of a saloon? Let's find out in Sade's story. Sade was known as the best hairdresser in the entire land of Ijeke. Everyone in the village knew her because she made the most beautiful hairstyles. From intricate braids to shiny twists, Sade's hands were like magic. Women from all over the village would visit her small salon, eager to have their hair styled by her. When the magic hands of Sade touched every hair, it glowed, and the person left her shop with smiles and looking extremely beautiful, as Sade was a master at her job. Her shop became the busiest place in town, with people even traveling from nearby villages just to get their hair done by the famous Sade. But there was something odd about Sade's salon that made people curious. Every time she braided or styled someone's hair, she would collect all the hair that fell to the ground. Unlike other salons, where the hair would be swept up and thrown away, Sade never let anyone sweep her shop, not even her workers, who were eager to help. Sade always insisted on doing it herself. This strange habit made the villagers whisper among themselves, "What does Sade do with all that hair?" They would wonder, but no one was brave enough to ask her. Sade was kind and talented, but there was something about the way she swept up the hair that made people uneasy. Whenever Sade finished a hairstyle, she would carefully pick up every strand of fallen hair, gathering it into a small blue bowl that she kept in the corner of her shop. She would hum softly to herself as she swept, her eyes focused on the ground, making sure she didn't miss a single strand. The villagers noticed that she never let anyone touch the basket, and she never explained what she did with the hair once it was inside. One day, a young girl named Bisi came to Sade's salon with her mother. Bisi loved getting her hair braided, and she was excited because Sade was the best in the village. As Sade worked on Bisi's hair, Bisi couldn't help but stare at the bowl in the corner. She had heard the stories about Sade's strange habit, and her curiosity got the best of her. "Sade," Bisi asked innocently, "why do you keep all the hair that falls? What do you do with it?" The room went silent. The other women in the saloon stopped talking and looked at Sade, wondering how she would respond. Sade paused for a moment, her hands freezing in mid-air as she worked on Bisi's braids. A small mysterious smile appeared on her face, but she didn't answer the question. Instead, she just continued braiding Bisi's hair as if nothing had happened. Bisi's mother gave her a gentle nudge, signaling her to be quiet. No one ever questioned Sade about the hair, and those who did never got an answer. But that day, something in the air felt different. The other customers glanced nervously at each other, wondering if Bisi had made a mistake by asking. After Bisi's hair was done, Sade quietly swept the fallen hair into her bowl as usual. But this time, as she swept, she hummed a different tune, a tune that no one had ever heard before. It was soft and haunting, and it sent shivers down the spines of everyone in the room. What no one knew was that Sade's bowl was not just a place to keep the fallen hair. It held a secret that no one in the village could have imagined. A secret that would soon change the lives of everyone who visited Sade's salon. The days passed, but Bisi couldn't stop thinking about Sade's basket. Every night before bed, she would wonder what Sade did with the hair. Did she use it to make something special? Or was there another reason she kept it all to herself? Bisi's mother noticed how curious her daughter had become, but she didn't want to talk about it. The village had its rules, and one of them was never to ask too many questions about things you did not understand. But Bisi was a curious child. The more she thought about it, the more she wanted to know. One evening, after helping her mother with chores, Bisi sneaked out of the house and made her way to Sade's salon. She knew it was wrong to go there alone, especially at night, but her curiosity was too strong. The moonlight guided her path, and soon she stood outside the small, quiet salon. Bisi peeped through the window, hoping to see inside. The salon was dark, except for a faint light coming from the back room where Sade usually kept her basket. Bisi's heart pounded in her chest. She was nervous, but she was also determined to find out the truth. Slowly, she pushed the door open, careful not to make a sound. As she stepped inside, Bisi noticed that the bowl was gone from its usual spot. Instead, the light from the back room seemed to be moving, as if someone was walking around. Bisi tiptoed closer, her tiny feet barely making a noise on the wooden floor. The light grew brighter as she approached the doorway. Suddenly, Bisi heard a soft voice. It was Sade, humming that same haunting tune she had heard the last time she was in the salon. The sound was beautiful, but also a little sad, like the wind blowing through the trees on a lonely night. Bisi peeped around the corner and saw Sade sitting on the floor, her back to the door. In front of Sade was the bowl, but it was empty. Bisi's eyes widened as she saw something she couldn't understand. The hair in the bowl was glowing with a soft light. Sade's hands moved gently over the hair, as if she was weaving something invisible. Bisi wanted to see more, but just as she leaned in, she accidentally knocked over a small jar on a nearby shelf. The jar fell to the floor with a loud crash, shattering into pieces. Sade stopped humming instantly. She turned around, her eyes locking onto Bisi's. For a moment, neither of them moved. The room was silent, except for the sound of the jar pieces settling on the floor. Bisi said Sade softly, her voice calm but with a hint of something Bisi couldn't place. "What are you doing here, my dear?" Bisi froze, unsure of what to say. She had never seen Sade look so furious before. The warmth in her eyes was gone, replaced by something else, something almost like fear. Bisi opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Sade slowly stood up and walked towards Bisi, her footsteps echoing in the silent room. Bisi took a step back, her heart racing. She had wanted to know the truth, but now that she was so close, she wasn't sure she wanted to find out after all. "You shouldn't be here," Sade whispered, her voice barely audible. "Some things are not meant to be seen, especially by someone so young." But before Sade could say anything more, a loud knock came from the front door. Both Sade and Bisi jumped at the sound. Sade's face turned pale, and she quickly grabbed the basket, covering it with her cloth. She looked at Bisi with a sense of urgency. "Go home, Bisi," Sade said firmly. "Forget what you saw tonight. Go home and don't come back here at night again." Bisi hesitated, her curiosity still burning inside her, but the look on Sade's face told her she needed to leave. Without another word, Bisi turned and ran out of the salon, her little feet carrying her as fast as they could back home. As she ran, the mysterious tune Sade had hummed echoed in her ears, growing fainter with each step. Bisi didn't know what she had just witnessed, but she knew one thing for sure. Something strange was happening in Sade's saloon, and she was now a part of it, whether she wanted to be or not. But the mystery didn't end there. What Bisi didn't know was that the knock on the door that night would bring more questions than answers. And the next time she visited Sade's salon, things would never be the same again. Bisi's heart was still pounding as she slid back into her house, hoping her mother wouldn't notice she had been gone. The next morning, she woke up early, her mind still swelling with thoughts of the glowing hair and Sade's strange behavior. She wanted to tell her mother what she had seen, but something inside her told her to keep it to herself. Maybe it was the way Sade had looked at her, or the fear in her voice when she had told Bisi to go home. Days turned into weeks, and life in the village went on as usual. But for Bisi, nothing felt the same. She noticed that fewer people were visiting Sade's salon. The women in the village seemed uneasy, whispering to each other whenever they passed by. Some said Sade's beautiful hairstyles had lost their shine, while others claimed she was ill, but no one knew for sure. Bisi couldn't shake the feeling that something terrible was about to happen. One evening, as she walked around through the village square, she overheard a conversation between two old women. "Did you hear?" one of them whispered. "3 women who visited Sade's salon have fallen ill. No one knows what's wrong with them, but they are not getting any better." The other woman shook her head. "I heard that too. They say the sickness is strange, like something has drained the life out of them. It's as if their spirits are fading away." Bisi's heart sank. Could it be connected to the glowing hair she had seen in Sade's basket? She knew she had to find out, but she was also scared. What if Sade was hiding something more dangerous than anyone could imagine? That night, unable to sleep, Bisi made a decision. She would return to Sade's salon, this time during the day, when she felt a bit braver. The next morning, as the sun rose, Bisi quietly slipped out of her house and headed towards the salon. When she arrived, she found the door slightly open, as if someone had forgotten to close it. Bisi stepped inside, her heart racing with a mix of fear and determination. The salon was empty, but she could hear soft voices coming from the back room, the same room where she had seen the glowing hair. She crept closer, careful not to make a sound. Peeping around the corner, Bisi saw Sade standing with her back to the door, talking quietly to herself. The bowl was in front of her, uncovered, and the hair inside was glowing once again. But this time, it was much dimmer than before. The light flickered weakly, like a candle about to go out. Sade, Bisi's voice was barely a whisper, but it was enough to make Sade spin around. Bisi gasped. Sade looked different, tired, worn, as if the light had drained from her too. The once lively sparkle in her eyes was gone, replaced by a hollow sadness. Bisi, you shouldn't be here, Sade said, but her voice lacked the strength it had before. She looked at the glowing hair, then back at Bisi, and sighed deeply. I suppose it's time you knew the truth. Sade sat down on a small stool, motioning for Bisi to sit beside her. The room was silent except for the faint crackling sound coming from the basket. When I first started collecting the hair, Sade began, it was because I didn't want to waste anything. I thought maybe I could use it to create something beautiful, something that would bring joy to others. But then something strange happened. Sade paused, her eyes fixed on the bowl. The hair started to glow, just like you saw. At first, it was a soft light, warm and comforting. I thought it was a gift, a sign that I was doing something right. But the more hair I collected, the brighter the light became, until it started to change. Bisi listened intently, her fear mixing with sympathy for Sade. The light became too strong, too powerful, Sade continued. It began to drain the life from the hair, and then from me. I tried to stop, but it was too late. The hair had taken on a life of its own, and it was hungry for the spirits of those who left it behind. Tears welled up in Sade's eyes as she looked at Bisi. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Bisi, I didn't know how to stop it. And now, the women who came here, they are suffering because of me. Bisi left a lump in her throat. She didn't know what to say. She had never seen Sade so vulnerable, so filled with regret. Is there anything you can do? Bisi asked, her voice trembling. Sade shook her head slowly. I have tried everything. The hair has taken too much already. If I stop collecting it, the light will go out completely, but not before it takes the last of my spirit, and maybe even more. And if I continue, more people will suffer. Bisi felt tears rolling down her cheeks. She wished she could help, but she was just a young girl. What could she do? As if reading her thoughts, Sade gave her a sad smile. You are brave, Bisi, braver than anyone I've known. But this is something even I cannot fix. All I can do now is protect the rest of the village by keeping the bowl hidden until the light fades away on its own. But what will happen to you? Bisi asked, her voice breaking. Sade didn't answer. Instead, she gently closed the basket, Discovering the faint glow, she stood up weakly and walked over to a small window, looking out at the village she had once loved so dearly. "The hair would take the last of my strength," Sade said quietly, "but at least no one else will be harmed." Bisi wanted to cry out, to beg Sade not to let it happen, but she knew deep down that this was the only way. Sade had made her choice, and it was a choice filled with sorrow and sacrifice. As Bisi left the salon that day, she knew she would never forget the tragic lesson she had learned. Sade's once vibrant salon soon became quiet, and the women in the village slowly began to recover. But the memory of Sade's sacrifice lingered in the hearts of everyone who had ever known her.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.